Everybody, it's been a while since I did a live. I've got some kind of fun thoughts on my mind this morning, particularly about the retreat that I just ran, but also about like what happened with 80s and 90s movies. Like they were so inappropriate and full of sexual innuendo, like every other thing, right? And violence and all of this. Like at the retreat, and I'll say more about this in a moment, we were joking and talking a lot about like 80s PG is like not the same as like whatever PG is now, right? Like 80s PG means there were like a ton of, weird, creepy sex jokes and like, adult content. And it's just bizarre. A little aside to that, like, we watched Indiana Jones the other night, and there was like the original one, like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And there was this like weird moment where Indiana Jones, like, sees the female character Marion, right? Like he comes in and she's in Nepal, like drinking, some German guy under the table or whatever. And she comes in and she's all like angry and pissed off to see him. And there's this dialogue where Marion's like, I was just a child. And he's like, I did what I did, it's in the past or something. And my husband's sitting there and like, I'm sitting there like listening to this like dialogue from Indiana Jones. I was just a child. And he's like, I did what I did. And my husband's like, well, that's some creepy dialogue. I was like, yeah, because this is like, this is like 80s PG or whatever, I'm not even sure what it was rated. I think it was rated PG or PG-13, but like, also, like, we don't want to know that Indiana Jones, like, was sleeping with a 15-year-old. I looked it up online, by the way, and yeah, apparently in the novelization of the Indiana Jones book that also came out around that time, they go more into the backstory, and she's like 15 and he like has an affair with her, like sleeps with her, and that's what she's referring to, right? But this just shows you like how far we've come as a culture, that like that would not fly nowadays in like a movie that's supposedly like family friendly. Like I know I saw Indiana Jones when I was like a kid, Anyway, it's the strangest thing. But at the retreat, and this is how it connects back into the amazing retreat that I just ran in Lewiston, Somatic Awakening, my signature retreat for like, entry level somatics, right? Doing somatic movement, kind of getting in touch with the way your body has held stress, tension, and pain throughout your life. And this retreat, I actually like let people see another side of me. Well, I mean, I've always kind of been edging towards this, but this was like, I finally went there. I was like, okay, the last night we're just basically having slumber party energy. And I want to show you guys like one of my favorite ridiculous premise 80s movies. It's almost 90s. It came out in 1988 and everybody was game. They were like, oh my God, yes. And so we watched one of my favorite movies. I love ridiculous premise 80s, 90s movies, like with a passion. And they're like my comfort films. Like I have a whole list of these. Like if I'm sick, like I'm going to be watching like some ridiculous premise movie and it's going to just make me like laugh and feel good. And these are often movies I started watching when I was a kid, right? So we watched this one. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It's called Big Business. It has Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler in their prime as two sets of identical twins that are switched at birth. So it's basically like Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors, right? But set in the 80s, and there's like the country bumpkin twins, and then there's like the rich bitch, like, capitalist twins, right? And they meet all in New York City on the same like couple of days, and like hilarity ensues. And like there's just endless hilarious one-liners. Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler are hysterical. And so it was like some kind of weird dream come true to have like all of these amazing women that we've just gone through this powerful weekend together doing somatic movement. And then we're all just cuddled up on the couches watching like this hilarious, amazing, ridiculous movie that's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So this brought me so much joy, which one of the participants, my dear friend and client Stella, captured it. And she was like, I'm having as much fun watching you watch this movie with us as I am watching the movie. Right? Because like there's just something about, not only the nostalgia of a movie that like you grew up with, but also just like really good comedy, like physical comedy where people make these like perfectly timed facial expressions with perfectly timed like dialogue, and they just don't make them like that anymore. It's incredible. So we had just the most beautiful time. And like I said, the last night was extra fun. And, it really has me thinking about how we're evolving as humans, 80s PG, and like this movie that we watched had just sexual innuendo after sexual innuendo. And I watched this movie when I was like 8 and like showed it to my other like 8-year-old friends. And, it's showing grown people like, being, adult and sexual, and we just don't live in that world anymore. Like, I hope not, because like it was too much too soon. There was also some fun conversations and about like, millennials, like there were quite a few of us there, and other, Gen X, a few Gen X, and like we have porn trauma. Like we talked about it. We talked about how there was, a lot that we got exposed to too soon because of the internet, and we have like weird porn trauma as women, like from having, one of the women was like, I remember going to parties in high school, and there we'd go to a party at some guy's house and there'd be like a porn playing, like as part of the party. And I was like, holy crap, that happened to me too. That was a thing too for me in high school. Like we forget about this stuff. We forget about this, but in this releasing process, we're deprogramming from all of it. We're deprogramming from the cultural stuff that like really isn't relevant anymore, but we don't realize is still living in our bodies and like taking up space or preventing us from feeling as safe and comfortable in expressions of our own individual sexuality as we could, because we're still holding on to like weird, like uncomfortable crap that happened when we were 15. Anyway, so there were just so many really great conversations, and, we were talking about like heavier things, but we were also laughing, and that's a really big theme for me, is like, okay, we're going to go there. Like, we're going to like talk about the thing that like you want to talk about that you're not allowed to talk about to other people, right? That hurts. And we're going to treat that with like utmost compassion and sensitivity. And then when the time comes that we're able to laugh about it, we're going to laugh about it, right? And that time does come for a lot of us, where we can like look back on some of the bullshit that we've gone through and have like a really deep belly chuckle about it, or see or hear or realize like, hey, I'm not alone in this like screwed up thing. And we can make jokes about it. We can laugh about it. So we were doing a fair amount of that. We had like a lot of fun just all weekend, exploring the different things that were coming up for people and having a lot of heart about it, having a lot of like appreciation for each other about it. So anyway, these are some of the things that are kind of like swirling through my head after the retreat, and I definitely like enjoy my ridiculous movies. Like the other genre that like I'm super into that like people don't know or realize about me is I love like sexist, toxic like musicals from like the 1950s and 60s. Like I grew up with them and I just have this like intense affinity for them, and like will watch them and just enjoy them even though they're like fucking terrible. Like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, if you've never seen that one, where the women are like literally kidnapped and then like, end up like falling in love with their captors. It's like ridiculous. But the dance scenes, like, oh my God, like the dance scenes are amazing. And the guys are like so cute, and like the women are so like tiny waisted. Like the whole thing is just weird programming, but for some reason it just, I still love it. I like, even though my eyes are open to like the bullshit, I like can't help but like smile and laugh and like hold it in my heart. Like Doris Day plays Calamity Jane. That was another one of my favorite ones. It was just, it's so sexist. It's like got some really like weird racism against Native Americans in it. And yet I can't like not appreciate that movie and like enjoy watching it from time to time as this just bizarre time capsule of like American revisionist 1950s like history. You know what I mean? So anyway, kind of a fun blend today with this live of like somatic information and then like pop culture information. I can't help it. Like in my early days, I was a cinephile. I watched like ridiculous amounts of movies, and I don't really watch movies that much anymore. Not as regularly as I used to, but I still really enjoy this stuff. And I enjoy seeing how the culture has blended with my physical somatic experience and the way that I show up in the world. Right. So anyway, love to hear what you guys like think. If you've got like a favorite stupid sexist premise, like ridiculous premise movie, like send me a DM or comment and tell me what your favorite ridiculous 80s, 90s movie is. And we'll just like jam and laugh and like analyze. So, all right, I got to get ready. I have a client coming, but bye everybody. Have a beautiful day. And I hope to see you at the next retreat where we can watch another one called House Sitter with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn. It's just the most hilarious, ridiculous premise movie ever. All right, bye.